Ravens fan, hold on, because this is a bombshell. New information has just leaked about the possible release of Mark Andrews, and things are heating up behind the scenes. This could completely change the Ravens' offense and have a direct impact on the franchise's future. But why would Baltimore make such a drastic decision? What's behind this possibility? And most importantly, could the Ravens really let go of one of their most reliable players? I'll tell you everything we know so far and how this could affect the team for the next season. So stay until the end, because this news might catch a lot of people by surprise. Go Ravens! Mark Andrews has always been one of the most reliable players in the Ravens offense. Since arriving in the NFL, he has built a strong connection with Lamar Jackson and become the centerpiece of the team's passing game. In 2021, he had his best season, recording an incredible 1,361 yards and cementing his status as one of the league's best tight ends. But since then, his numbers have declined. In 2023, despite scoring 11 touchdowns, Andrews had only 673 yards, his lowest total in a full season since his second year in the league. This drop raises an important question. Can the Ravens still count on Andrews as the dominant player he once was? The situation became even more delicate after the playoff loss to the Bills. In the final seconds, Andrews had the chance to tie the game on a two-point conversion, but let the ball slip through his hand, a play that may have symbolized the end of an era. But the truth is, that mistake shouldn't be the deciding factor in his future with the team. The Ravens' decision is much more about finances and what the team needs to stay competitive. Andrews is entering the final year of his contract and carries an $11 million cap hit. For a player who hasn't been producing at his previous level, that figure could be a problem. Another factor complicating the situation is that the team already has a promising replacement on the roster. Isaiah likely has shown great potential whenever he's had the chance to play, and his production in 2023 was encouraging. If the Ravens believe Likely can take on a bigger role, keeping Andrews might become an unnecessary luxury. The franchise needs to assess whether investing so much money in a veteran tight end is worth it when they have a younger, cheaper player ready to contribute. The NFL is a business, and tough decisions must be made to keep the team competitive. The big question now is which direction the Ravens will take. Keeping Andrews would mean continuing to rely on one of the league's most talented tight ends, but if the team decides it's time to free up cap space, he might not be on the roster next season. And this decision isn't just about Andrews. Its financial impact could affect other areas of the team, including Ronnie's Stanley situation and potential defensive reinforcements. Mark Andrews' contract is one of the heaviest on the Ravens' payroll. He signed a 4-year, $56 million extension and is now entering the final year of that deal, carrying an $11 million cap hit. For a team that needs to make roster adjustments and strengthen key positions, that number cannot be ignored. If the Ravens decide to cut or trade him, they could free up significant cap space, allowing the team to invest in other areas that need reinforcement. That money could be used to address issues in critical positions. The offensive line, for example, was one of the weak points down the stretch of the season, and the Ravens need to ensure Lamar Jackson has enough protection to keep playing at a high level. Additionally, defense has always been a priority in Baltimore, and strengthening the pass rush or secondary could be essential to keeping the team competitive. If Andrews leaves, the Ravens would have more flexibility to make these moves without compromising the franchise's financial future. On the other hand, letting go of Andrews means losing one of the offense's top targets. Even though his numbers have declined, he is still an extremely talented player and one of the most productive tight ends in the NFL. The question the Ravens need to answer is whether it's worth sacrificing one of their offensive pillars to gain financial flexibility. The risk of losing a player of his caliber could be significant, especially for a team with Lamar Jackson, a quarterback who relies on strong options in the passing game. Releasing Andrews wouldn't just be a financial move, it would be a significant shift in the team's offensive identity. If the Ravens go down that path, they will need to find ways to fill that void in the offense. And that brings us to another crucial point. Is Isaiah likely ready to step up and become Lamar Jackson's new go-to target? Since entering the NFL, Isaiah likely has shown flashes of talent that suggest he could be a key piece in the Ravens' offense. Whenever he has had the opportunity to start, he has performed well, demonstrating skills both as a receiver and a blocker. Last season, despite being the second option at tight end, he totaled 477 yards and 6 touchdowns, proving he can be a reliable target for Lamar Jackson. If the Ravens decide to move on from Andrews, Likely could be the biggest beneficiary of that decision. What makes Likely even more appealing to the Ravens is his cost-effectiveness. While Andrews has a multi-million-dollar contract, Likely is still on his rookie deal, meaning Baltimore can get solid production at the tight end position without spending a fortune. This would give the team more flexibility to invest in other positions and strengthen the roster as a whole. If Likely continues to develop, the Ravens may not feel Andrews' absence as much as some expect. Still, there is a big difference between being an excellent backup and taking on the role of a full-time starter. Andrews has already proven his worth in clutch moments and has years of chemistry with Lamar Jackson. Likely still needs to show he can be that type of player at a high level, week in and week out. The pressure of replacing a Pro Bowler is no small task, and the transition could be more challenging than it seemed. The Ravens trust Likely's potential, but they need to be certain he's ready for this responsibility before making such a drastic decision. If Likely can step up, the Ravens might have an in-house solution at tight end without needing to spend big in the market. But if there are doubts about his ability to be a reliable starter, cutting Andrews could be an unnecessary risk. And that's not the only major decision Baltimore has to make. Ronnie Stanley's situation also needs to be resolved. Well, we're already past the halfway mark of the video, but I notice you haven't left your like yet. This is really important so YouTube continues showing you my content, and I can keep bringing more updates for you. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free. Thanks. Now, let's continue. Ronnie Stanley was once one of the best left tackles in the NFL, but injuries in recent years have compromised his performance. Since signing his big contract extension in 2020, he has struggled to stay healthy and deliver the same level of play as before. The issue is that his contract still weighs heavily on the Ravens' salary cap, and the team needs to decide what to do with him. If they want to keep Stanley, they may need to restructure his contract to alleviate some of the financial impact. However, if they choose to go another route, they will need to find a reliable alternative to protect Lamar Jackson. This is one of the reasons why cutting Andrews could be a viable option. If the Ravens need to free up salary cap space to address Stanley's situation or bolster the offensive line, parting ways with Andrews could be one of the ways to do that. Of course, this decision cannot be made in isolation. It all depends on the moves Baltimore intends to make in the offseason. If the team believes they can find a solution for Stanley without having to part ways with Andrews, keeping the tight end might be the safer choice. The issue is that, in the current scenario, the Ravens can't simply keep all the big contracts and expect everything to resolve itself. The NFL has a strict salary cap, and each decision directly impacts the team's ability to build a competitive roster. With Stanley facing uncertainties about his future and Andrews being costly for a tight end, the Ravens need to find a balance between keeping talent on the roster and ensuring the team has the resources to strengthen other areas. This offseason is shaping up to be one of the most challenging for the Ravens front office, and every decision will carry enormous weight for the future of the franchise. If the priority is to protect Lamar Jackson and ensure he has time to make his plays, then the offensive line needs to be a focus. But the Ravens also need to look at the other side of the ball, as the defense has weaknesses that cannot be ignored. The Ravens have always been known for having a strong and aggressive defense, but some positions need attention this offseason. The pass rush, for example, had some strong moments last season, but there is still a lack of a dominant player who can change the game in key moments. Additionally, the secondary may lose important pieces, and strengthening this unit should be one of the team's priorities. To continue competing at the highest level, the Ravens need to ensure their defense remains one of the best in the league. Creating cap space could be crucial for bringing in quality defensive reinforcement. If the Ravens cut Andrews, for example, part of that money could be invested in an elite pass rusher or an experienced cornerback. The team already has a well-structured defensive system, but they need players who can elevate the unit even further. In today's NFL, where explosive offenses are becoming more common, having a defense capable of containing top quarterbacks is essential for championship contention. The problem is that every choice comes at a cost. If the Ravens prioritize defensive reinforcement, they might end up compromising the balance of the offense. It's a tough dilemma because Andrews is still a valuable player, and losing an offensive piece of his caliber could affect the team's performance. The front office needs to decide which approach will be more beneficial for the team in the long run. No matter what the Ravens decide, this offseason will be crucial for the future of the franchise. The team needs to find ways to strengthen the roster without compromising its identity, and any wrong decision could have serious consequences. Now, fans are eagerly waiting to see which direction Baltimore will take in the coming month. Mark Andrews is one of the most important players in the Ravens offense, but the possibility of his release has sparked a big debate. The franchise needs to balance the books, reinforce other areas of the roster, and at the same time, decide if it's worth parting ways with one of Lamar Jackson's favorite targets. The impact of this decision could be massive, both on and off the field, and the fan base is divided on what the best choice would be. What about you? Do you think the Ravens should move on without Mark Andrews to invest in other positions, or keep the tight end for one more season? Drop your opinion in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates about the Ravens.